Over the history of gaming, there's been a handful of games where you get to play as a spider, and even if I'm not a big fan of the eight-legged creatures, I've always actually enjoyed this kind of premise. And there's a brand new game called Spider Rite of the Shrouded Moon on the PlayStation 4. But does this game spin a web of fun? Or is this one arachnid you're just gonna want to squash? In Spider Rite of the Shrouded Moon, you're playing as a young spider who is born right near an old-looking mansion known as the Blackbird Estate. Throughout the course of the game, you're going to be exploring over 30 different levels inside and around the Blackbird Estate. In each level, you need to eat a certain number of insects in order to open up a portal so you can go through and move on to the next stage. When you complete a level, you'll have your score rack up, and you can, of course, upload your scores and compete against your friends and other people online. At its core, Spider is much more of a strategy puzzle game than necessarily an action platformer. Every level, you're going to have to strategize to figure out what's the best way to go about capturing all the insects. You have a certain number of silk at your disposal. When you end up getting squashed or hit by other enemies, you'll lose some of that silk. Of course, also using it, that number will deplete, and if you run completely out of silk, you'll only have a few moments to either capture something and eat it real quick, or else you'll end up starving to death. The game has a good amount of insects for you to take on, and a lot of them have differing strategies for how to capture them. You have some simple ones like butterflies that may just move in a circle and easy to capture, but then you'll have ants that you'll have to just run into or pounce on fire ants when they're not knowing what's going on. You'll have to jump at hornets in order to crush them against walls and then be able to eat them. Flies can only be hit when they're actually landed instead of while they're flying around. Grasshoppers kind of have to be forced to jump up into the air and into webs above them. Silkworms the opposite, hanging from little strings, dropping them into webs right below them is the best way to get rid of them. Each of the insects provides those different challenges that make Spider an enjoyable experience. Besides eating your way through each level, you're also encouraged to explore to find the game's secret areas as well as the mysterious clues to find out more about the past of the estate. One of the things I thought was the coolest part about Spider was that it actually gets your location and checks the weather around you, sees whether it's day and night or raining or not, and actually changes up the levels and mansion because of this. So each level in the game has 4 versions to it. You have daytime raining, night, and nighttime raining. And it also, the time of year affects some of the elements of the levels itself. You can turn off the option altogether not to look at your current location, but I thought this was a pretty cool touch to the game. From the technical side of things, while the game didn't crash on me, there was some stutter and a little bit of slowdown here and there. I think it was mostly due to maybe auto-saving or uploading my score to the leaderboards, and I jumped into the next level quickly after initiating that autosave, and while that was still going on, the game had to kind of catch up, but after a few moments, that always would end up correcting itself, and I was able to play fine. Spider Rite of the Shrouded Moon is available on the PlayStation 4 for $9.99. It took me a couple hours to play through all of the game's levels and explore a large portion of the mansion, trying to find all the clues, as well as trying to destroy as many insects as possible in each of the levels. The game doesn't have multiple difficulties, but I never found anything too overly challenging or too easy either, but there was only kind of a handful of stages where I really had to play multiple times in order to complete them. The game does feature a full trophy list, including a platinum trophy, which is definitely a plus. In the end, I really enjoyed Spider. It may not be the longest game out there by any means, but I think the setting as well as just the type of gameplay that it provides is something different enough to get a look from at least a few people. With everything said though, I'm going to be giving the game a 7 out of 10. But anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.